I received a gift in the mail. I received this handy dandy Victrix arcade stick. They sent me an arcade stick. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about it. Yeah, somebody in the chat called it. I thought I'd talk a little bit about it. I realized that a lot of people ask me about arcade sticks and what sticks I like. My favorite stick is the Razer Panthera, right? I'm a big fan of the Razer Panthera. It has a lot of the things that I like about arcade sticks in a stick. They have a new one. They're coming out with the Razer Panthera Evo. I'm going to try that. I'll let you guys know what I think about that. But I figured because a lot of people ask about arcade sticks, I would redirect them to the videos I do of reviews of arcade sticks and just tell them. So they sent me this stick. It's cool. It's a nice stick. It's got like a metallic finish, right? It's pretty nice. I like it. It's got a lot of features. I'll tell you what. When I heard about this stick, the first thing I thought to myself is that it's very expensive, and I would never care about features on an arcade stick. Right? That's what the first thing I thought is. It's an arcade stick, right? The features, I don't really care that much. All I want is good parts and an arcade stick that works, and everything else, like, who cares, right? The reason I like the Panthera so much is that the Panthera is a rather small stick compared to a lot of other sticks. It doesn't fit super wide in your lap. It's solid parts, detachable cable. You can pop the trunk on that bad boy. And it's just a really solid, well-rounded stick. I'm not a big fan of the... what's it called? I'm not a big fan of the heavy sticks. I know some people out there are a big fan of like VLX sticks. A lot of you guys probably remember the Street Fighter Versus series sticks, right? The Dragon, like big heavy sticks like that. I've never been a big fan of those kinds of sticks. My favorite sticks, the last generation, I really like the default Mad Catz TE that they came out with in vanilla for Street Fighter 4. I thought the Fight Stick Pro was a great stick. That's not a very heavy stick, right? You guys probably remember that one. I don't like big, heavy, like, you know, super big fucking arcade sticks. I think they're too heavy, and for me, it doesn't slide around a lot in my lap. Now, when it comes to this thing, it's a little heavy, I won't lie. You can see on the back, it's got these handy-dandy little things to grab on the sides. There's not really like a grip material on the center of the back. It's kind of on these like side things here. There's like a material that slips on your legs. It's a pretty heavy stick. I won't lie. It's a little heavier than most of the fight sticks that I tend to use. Despite that, the body's pretty wide, so I don't really notice it that much. As far as like features go, you may have noticed that there is no stick, right? You may have noticed that there's no stick on this boy. It has like a metallic sheen to it, which is very cold right now, actually. That's one of the big things I noticed. When I've been playing on this arcade stick, I brought it to Wednesday Night Fights, and I brought it here. It's cold. The top of it is very cold to the touch, so it might be a little cold on your hands. There's no stick, you probably noticed here, and the cable is up top wrapped up. So the stick, this little thing comes off here, and it's a detachable joystick. So that's one of the cool features about it. So I took it off. You can see there's the joystick part right here. Pretty standard parts. And this at the top here, there are these little, I don't know what to call these. Like I was going to I don't know what exactly to call these, but they are for storing the cable. So a lot of sticks have the detachable cables, right? You see them a lot. And one of the big issues with detachable cables is that they break a lot. The interesting thing about this detachable cable that I like is that it's very easy to store, right? There's hooks at the top of this thing. You just wrap the cable around it. Where the cables are together here, you see that I just kind of pulled them apart. There's a little, I should show you guys. There's a little thing on here where the stick, or where the cable can be wrapped up. So on this, there is this part right here, right? And what you do with that is you put the wire in it. So the wire goes on it like this, and it stores the arcade stick. You see that? It's also not the standard, like, you know, the Razer Panthera and the Mad Catz have the screw that you have to screw in. This is like a USB-C connector. So USB-C connector. So probably a little bit easier to replace than some of the other detachable cables. It has a little thing that you put in here, USB, standard USB for this. I I like detachable cables. I'm a big fan of detachable cables in general, so that's a win for me on this stick. This stick does open up. I think a lot of people like sticks that you can open up and customize. So the back of this stick opens up. It inverts like this, right, upside down. It's a little different than the Panthera, which pops in the front. And this is where the stick is stored, right, the joystick itself. So you can see that the joystick is stored right here. It comes out like that. And there's also an Allen wrench in here to change the tightness of the ball top. And then it pops down on the front, right? Put this bad boy in there, and you got a fight stick, and it's working. Yeah, it's pretty nice. That's one thing that I think is a pretty good decision about this stick. One issue about transporting sticks for a lot of you guys who travel is that this part, the joystick itself, is very easy to get messed up when you are in transit and stuff, right? That's one thing that happens pretty often with sticks like this, right? And being able to store that is pretty nice to prevent the joystick itself from getting messed up. You know, when you have it in your luggage and it's jammed up or jammed down, it can get messed up. Yeah, there's a washer on the bottom. This washer right here, I'll angle it so that you can see it. You can see that there's a washer over at on the joystick itself over there. The sheen on the top, really nice. It's pretty standard. I'll plug it in real quick so you guys can see that it is a very fancy RGB stick. It's got, you know, the sides light up and stuff. But I've been messing with it. I think it's a nice stick. I'm surprised that a lot of the features on it that I didn't think I would care particularly about is good to have. It's better to have than I realized. So it lights up. Right? You can see that. It lights up. Sides light up. The side panels, it's a little tough to see. Pretty bright. You can also change the colors on it. It has a bunch of code commands that you can type into the top of it, right? You can hold down the Victrix logo button in the center, and it'll turn on like the tournament mode, and the tournament mode makes it so you can't hit like start or select or whatever. You can turn the LEDs off. Yeah, you can also change the colors on the LEDs. So the thing about the LEDs is like you hit the LED button, right? And it like does different modes. So this is like it comes in and out. So it's a little hard to see. Let me put it closer. But it's a little hard to see, but this is like the mode where it like fades in and out, right? See what I'm saying there? So it's like the pulsating mode. And then like you can change the different colors of it. So this is like green to red to orange, purple, a bunch of different colors. You can also lock in on a certain color. So for me, I like blue. So I just stick it on blue. You can turn the LEDs off. If you're not a big fan of the LEDs, you can just turn it off. It's a nice stick. So Victrix was kind enough to send me one. I think it's pretty nice. I think that if you're in the market for a very nice arcade stick that you want to travel with, it's probably worth considering. It is very expensive. It is a $300 stick? I think it is. Or is it more expensive than that? $350? $350 stick? It is very expensive. It is a very, very premium fight stick. When I heard about this stick, the first thing that I thought was like I said, it's expensive and it is a lot of features that, to be honest, I don't really care that much about. Right, I was like LEDs, like whatever, right? Like it's just an arcade stick with sono parts, detachable cables, etc. A lot of the features are nicer than I expected them to be. I think it's a pretty cool arcade stick. It's not something that I would recommend for someone who's entry level. If you travel a lot, it's maybe worth considering because of the detachable detachable joystick, which is something you can have modded in yourself if you are someone who messes with arcade sticks and would rather do that yourself. It's totally fine. It's a pretty nice stick, and I like it from what I've used so far. The build quality seems pretty good. It's a nice stick. My favorite arcade stick still is the Panthera, but I'm happy that I got to try this. A lot of people seem to really enjoy this, so I was interested in giving it a shot. For me, it's very hard to beat Old Faithful, right? When it comes to the Panthera, which is funny. I know a lot of people will immediately make jokes about Razor sticks and their faithfulness. I've never had an issue with any of the Razor sticks. and I really enjoy them. I think Victrix, for like their first arcade stick, right? They haven't produced anything before this. They did a bang up job. I'm pretty impressed with the build quality on this thing, and a lot of the little features and love that they put into this. They did a good job. So I appreciate them sending me one. It's a nice stick. If you guys have any questions about it, let me know. The Panthera is a great stick. You really can't go wrong with a lot of the sticks on the market. The nice thing about the stick market currently in fighting games is that we have so many good options. For a long time, that wasn't always the case, right? Yeah, I remember the TE1s were they were so hard to find for a long time. Right when they came out and stuff is when I was interested in fighting games, and when I was first getting interested. And I remember it took a while to get a stick. It was so rare that like when they were available, I was like, I have to buy one. Like if I don't get one now, I don't know when the hell is the next time I'll get one. I still use it actually. When I play Street Fighter 4 still, and I do still play Street Fighter 4 from time to time, I use that stick. Actually, when I play on Fightcade, I wanted to play 3S, I use that stick a lot of the times too. I love that stick. I've only ever replaced the buttons, and the stick is almost 10 years old now. It's an excellent stick. You can't go wrong with that. Have I tried out the Project Magenta stick? I have. I tried it out when they were first messing with the idea of it. I think it's really cool. I'm not somebody who wants to... The SE, that's what it is. I'm not somebody who wants to change that stuff very often. I'm not as sensitive to different kinds of joysticks, but it's a really cool idea. I have tried it out. Is the Hori Rap 4 any good? I swapped its button for Sanwa buttons and added Octogate. Yeah, the Rap 4 is a great stick. A lot of people like the Sanwa buttons instead of the Hori buttons. I don't like Hori sticks, and I don't like... I like their buttons a lot, but I tend not to like the way the Hori sticks feel. I don't have that issue on the Fighting Edge, but on their other models, the smaller ones in particular, I usually don't love it as much. The Octogate, for that, you're a weird person, and I don't know what you're doing there. But it's fine. Yeah, my old roommate used to play on Octogate. It's fine. Octogate is just very unusual. Not a lot of people play on Octogates, you know? So that's why it's just a little weird. A lot of people will be like, hey man, can I borrow your stick? And then they'll like spin it and be like, no thanks. And then they'll hand you back the fight stick. So for that reason, that's an advantage you have. No one will ever want to borrow your stick. But to me, it doesn't matter. I can play on Octogate. I can play on No Gate. I can play on Korean stick. It's not a difference to me. I've used the Mixbox before, and I've used the Hitbox. I think on Hitbox, I'm like 80% of what I am on a fight stick in terms of execution. Or in terms of comfort. And in terms of execution, I find a lot of things on Hitbox easier, and I find some things harder, which is a little weird. But it's not hard to thank my amazing subs like Super Kill Robot. Thanks very much for the 10 months. So on Hitbox, I think... in Tekken wave dashing is a little bit easier for me to do on a hitbox, and I think certain inputs are a little cleaner for me on hitbox. I'm trying to think of examples in my head. Like NRS inputs I think are a lot easier. Tiger kneeing inputs are a lot easier. The issue I have is I think it's hard to mash a DP on hitbox. Charge moves? Yeah, charge moves too. I think it's hard to mash a DP on hitbox. I don't know why, but it feels very uncomfortable for me to try to mash the corners to do a DP on hitbox compared to doing it on a joystick, which you can just mash a DP really easily. Like some inputs are very easy and some are hard, harder than stick. It's one or the other. I could talk about the Razer stick all day. Maybe I should do that real quick. Hold up. This is my favorite arcade stick. This thing is amazing. It does so many things right. I know the Razer Evo stick, when that thing comes out, I'll do a little mini review. This thing does so many things right. I love this stick. I know a lot of people meme about Razer having quality issues or whatever, but to me, that was like a generation ago. These things are so good. First of all, blue is my favorite color, so I'm a little, it's already got me there. Sono parts, detachable cable, pop the trunk on this bad boy. It's not very heavy, and also, it is not a super wide body stick, right? It is such a great fight stick. I think that this thing does so many things right. It's got a touchpad. It works on PS3, PS4, PC. Thing is solid, dude. It's hard not to recommend this stick or the Obsidian. I also have the Obsidian. Hold on. We're going to do a little stick infomercial comparison here. Let's talk about some fight sticks. So I think when you're looking at fight sticks, a lot of people ask me about fight sticks, and there's two sticks I tend to recommend, right? So we're going to talk about them. The first stick, the Obsidian. I think a lot of people really, really, really like this stick. It's a standard stick. This thing is solid. It's got the touchpad on the top. Works on PC, PS3, PS4. Parts are great. There's really solid parts, right? I think they got the cable storage compartment up here. It is not a detachable cable, which is why you can see this, the cable is wrapped around the stick. Extremely wide, right? This is a wide arcade stick. It's not particularly heavy, but it is wide. It's got the little stoppers on the bottom here. You can see this, so that it doesn't slide around in your lap. This thing is solid. The Obsidian does a lot of things right. It's got the blue panels on the side. They light up. It is a solid stick. I can't complain too much about it. Me personally, the one issue I have is, in general, I tend not to like is wider sticks. That is one thing about me. The other thing is that I feel like the joystick placement versus how wide this thing is. If you notice, there's a lot of space from the side to the joystick. It's a very wide stick. So for me, it feels a little weird using it sometimes just because of how wide it is. But I feel like I'm kind of an outlier in my complaints about this stick. I would still easily recommend this. I have no problem using it. I used it for a while, right? I think it's a great fight stick. The other competitor, and I think it's $200, right? $200 stick. The other competitor at $200, Panthera, my favorite fight stick. Very, it's not quite as wide. You can see even the distance from like the stick to the side, right? Like that, the Obsidian has a wider panel. Not quite as wide. It doesn't have, one thing to talk about for the Obsidian is that all the buttons are at the very top, right? They have like the Star Trek Enterprise panel at the top. There's like 15 buttons, right? There's like 15 buttons at the top. This is not really like that. It's got the touchpad, L3, R3, and then on the side, it has start and select, right? Start and select. So it also has a detachable cable. You can see the top. This is where the cable goes in. You can pop the trunk with the button down here, store stuff inside. You want to make a sandwich, you know, whatever, you can put it on the inside. If you're a fan of the detachable cable, if you're a fan of a stick that is not quite as wide, this is a good choice. But both of them, I mean, parts are good. You can't really go wrong with either of them. They're at about the price point that I think you'd want to pay for a fight stick that's going to last you a long time, right? The $200 fight, range is really solid. I get asked about arcade sticks a lot, so these are the two that I would recommend the most, right? This is what I recommend the most to people. Now, a lot of people have brought up that the Razer Evo is coming out soon. When that comes out, I'll do a review of that. I'll try that stick out. A secret hidden boss to fight sticks, particularly for compatibility, is actually another option from Qanba, which is the drone, particularly the Evo drone. This stick is really small. It's extremely light. And I think that this is one of the best travel options, or one of the best portable options if you play with like a laptop at events, or if you want something small to like mess around with or training mode at the airport, or if you just want a really solid portable option. This thing is good. This thing is super good. Sanwa parts. It's got like the control panel at the top, and this thing is solid, right? I love this thing. I think this thing is one of the most underrated sticks out there on the market. If you had a chance to scoop one of these up for cheap or pick one up around the Evo times, Sanwa parts, this thing is super nice. I love this thing. I think that this is like the ultimate option of portability and quality build, right? Sanwa parts in this thing. It's not for someone with huge hands. Sure, I don't have very big hands, so this stick is totally fine for me. And it's super solid portable option. If you want something, maybe if you have small hands or if you want a starter stick to try out, it's not a bad idea, I think, right? More options for 6-button sticks, because you don't use the 2 right buttons. That, I guess I didn't really think about 6-button sticks, but you could always build your own. This thing is solid. It's a very good option. If you can still find one somewhere, it's great. A lot of people brought up other options in here, like the Fighting Edge. I know people love. I don't own the Fighting Edge. For this generation of sticks, I've owned the Panthera, the Obsidian, the Victrix stick, and I have a Sanwa. I have a Sanwa stick that they sold exclusively at Evo Japan, and I have the Evo drone, and I think I have one other stick. Something else. But that's my recommendation. When it comes to fight sticks, really, as much as it comes to something like this, I don't know if there's necessarily something that's a starter. I think you sort of just go with an Obsidian or a Panthera a lot of the times, because this is something that's going to last you a while, and it's $200. You don't want to buy something that's $150 that's going to break on you or something, right? They're great. Damn, this neighborhood is filled with animals everywhere. They're just barking and fucking, there's goddamn cats everywhere. These cats are motherfuckers in this neighborhood. I'll tell you what. I'm driving around and these cats won't get out of the fucking road. They think they own the place. They just lay in the middle of the road, and I'm just like, I'm not going to run you over. And the cat's like, well, I'm not moving. What are you going to do? And I'm like, you fucking shithead road cat.